here we are. Here we are. Another day. Another day. It's the great day. We are here in the Focus Marathon again. Another
Again.
night. And babe, what night are we on tonight?
Whew, I believe it's night number 23, day
Is it 23?
23,
This is
day
day 23 of the
23,
marathon.
day 23 of the Focus Marathon.
Wow. Wow. We are stretching this out. We are making impact. We are making strides. We are stretching ourselves in this marathon to make sure you are getting the information you deserve and that you desire. And have we been having a great time?
Oh my goodness. So far 22 nights of conversations, very rich
Yes.
conversations, lots of great wisdom, people sharing from their wealth of experience and the ups, the downs, the ins, the
Hmm.
outs. They've been just giving
Yeah.
us so much rich information. It has been a blessing.
Yeah, it's been really good. I think if I was to say what's my biggest takeaway from this marathon, what have I learned is that when people work and stay in their lane, we all are better for it.
Mhm.
We get better motivation, better education, better experiences when people hone in on their skill sets and their giftings and they flow in that and unashamed. This is being
Right.
unashamed about the way they're made and how
Mhm.
they're gifted. And because we need that, we need authentically
Mhm.
you. We need you to be authentic, and our guests have been really authentic in their
Yeah,
lane.
absolutely. They've been real. They've been transparent. We've laughed. We've, pondered some things. We had some things that we had to kind of toss and turn over as we kind of molded over. Like, how does that really
How
work
does
in
that
my
work?
life?
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's good stuff.
they've just been bringing it to us night
Yeah,
after night after night.
yeah. And I the more that they come on, the more I know that I don't know a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's so much to learn, still to learn. And so that's what this is all about, still learning. All right, so the night is no different. Tonight is still a power-packed night with a powerful guest that's going to come on and talk and share with us about having a heart to
Hmm.
serve. And
Hmm.
we're going to dive into that because we all need to serve a little bit more. We all can do more. But before we go there, I got an announcement to make.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Mm,
here we go. All right. So a lot of people don't know this yet.
okay.
And it's concerning the last night. And that last night is coming up. It's this
This
Friday.
Friday, July 15th.
July 15th will be 26 days, 26 nights, mornings, depending on when you're seeing this in a row. Just
Hmm.
every night, 8 o'clock, depending on when you're looking at this. So to conclude this,
Hmm.
we're gonna have a happy hour.
A happy hour.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
we're gonna have a happy hour for. You had a flashback.
Not really.
Some of the audience, they was like, "Yes, where y'all meeting at?" So we're so we're gonna have a happy hour, and what we want to do. We've had some tremendous guests on the show, and I know people are like, "Man, I wish I could see them again."
Hmm.
Well, that's exactly what we're gonna do. The guests don't even know this, but I'm gonna reach out to each and every one of them and ask on the last night, come on out and bless the viewers that want to see them and hear from them one more time
Hmm.
on our last night.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you don't miss Friday. But before Friday, there is a
Ooh,
Thursday
ooh.
night conversation coming as
Yes,
well.
yes. Thursday night is going to be jam packed.
So usually on Fridays, we try and do Fitness Friday, talk
Right.
about
Mm-hmm.
something that has to do with making sure we stay healthy, we keep our bodies well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to actually shift that to tomorrow. So
All right.
tomorrow night, we're
That's a
going to
good
talk
call. Yeah.
about nutrition.
Yes.
Nutrition.
So don't miss it.
Yeah, because that's a big part of how we stay healthy.
I would say for me, nutrition is probably 70% of, and probably more of the journey as far as
Yeah.
being healthy.
Hmm.
How you fuel
Yeah.
yourself, what energy, when you eat food that gives you life,
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a discussion about that from a dynamic brother. So you do not want to miss tomorrow.
Don't miss
I'm
it.
going to be here.
I'm going to be here as
All
well.
right, cool.
I'll be
I'll be
here.
here. I'm not going to miss it.
Yeah.
All right, so you know how we do, ladies and gentlemen. As questions come to your mind tonight, don't forget to put those questions in the comment area and make sure you put what kind of Q in front of it? Because you said something yesterday, and I said, "Oh, that sounds good."
I don't know what I said yesterday, but a capital Q.
Yeah, I know you said so. Yeah, it would sound fan. Make sure you put a capital Q. Maybe that was a capital Q in front of it, so we know that it's definitely a question mark or a question that needs to be answered, and we want to make sure we respect your questions, and we want to show you how important your questions are to us and our guests, and so we want to make sure we answer those questions. And I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Dr. Mark. He's our sponsor for tonight's show, and we want to thank him for coming out and hanging out with us. And Dr. Mark, I don't know if you heard this, but Friday we're having a happy hour, and I'll explain that to you a little bit later.
Virtual happy hour.
Yeah, virtual happy hour to celebrate the 26 nights, and we definitely want you to be involved. If you can, definitely come out and support that as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into tonight's topic. It's going to be nice.
Very, very nice. And again, as always, get your notebook, notepad.
I got my pads
your
all
iPad,
over the place.
Your iPhone or Android if you use Android.
Who uses it? Anyway.
No shade.
I'm not even
going
to go there. I'm not even going to go there. If you use the Android stuff, whatever.
No shade at all. But tonight we're talking about having a heart to serve. What do you focus on when you want to make sure that you're making an impact in your community and your family and beyond, but having that heart to serve? How do you develop it?
Right.
And I'm not going to say too much because our guest is really going to unpack
you're
that
excited.
for us.
You ready? Stay in your lane. We have a speaker tonight.
I'm so excited. So listen, welcome with us, Ms. Nikki Pearson. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before we bring her to the Focus Marathon. But Ms. Nikki Pearson is a native Washingtonian. She's an ordained associate pastor at First Baptist Church of Glenarden. And she also serves as the Community Support Services Coordinator at Shabbat Ministries Incorporated. Miss Nikki embodies determination and faith in all that she does. She has learned that we can all live a meaningful life free of long-term problems caused by the issues, hurts, and disappointments of our past. She's a psalmist, a published poet, and author of the book, Your Breakthrough is Up to You.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Your Breakthrough is Up to You. She wrote that book. And listen, it's a must-read book, and she's going to tell us a little bit, give us a little snippet about that. But make sure, you want to hear about that book. And she's the proud parent of one son and a grandmother to 3 beautiful grandchildren. Y'all help us welcome Ms. Nikki Pearson to the Focus Marathon. Woo. So excited.
Yes. I did Michael Jordan. Yes. One of those, like, yeah. Oh no, that's Tiger Woods. When he would hit the hole, he's like, yeah, one of those things. We probably all did it, but Miss Nikki, oh my goodness, we feel like, I was practicing my British accent the other day, and people was getting on me about it. They said it wasn't good, and I said, well, nothing is good when you first start. I said, but come back. But now, with you being here, I feel like royalty is in the house.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I feel like saying something that is a little better than what I was saying before, so we will know who we truly are. By you being here, we're going to learn a whole lot more about us and where we should be from a heart perspective. Wow. And so thank you for being here. Lovely as ever.
Yes.
And I can't wait to dive into this.
Yeah.
So if you have your proverbial tea or coffee or whatever, pull that up to the counter, and Miss Nikki, we're just going to sit across from this table of knowledge and just conversate about having a heart to serve. And I just hope you enjoy yourself tonight.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to be here with you. That accent, you leave that alone.
It's only 1 week. I've been doing it for 3 days, maybe. Whatever, y'all.
Let it go. It's okay. It's
all
okay.
All right, cool.
We love you just the way you are.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that encouragement. Amen.
See me in like 6 months from now. I'm gonna be flowing in it. I'm gonna be looking at the BBC, trying to get the rhythms down and stuff like that. So I'll be all right. Okay. So anyway, man, people want to hear from you, because tonight we're talking about having a heart to serve, and you embody. I'm watching your body of work, and you embody the thought, the concept of serving in a big way. And I said you serve with the spirit of excellence. When you serve, it's you. I'm doing all the talking. Let me let you talk. So, Miss Nikki, tell us about this heart to serve. Where does it come from in you? How did this all come about where you found this rhythm for you, and that rhythm is serving? How
Mhm.
did that kick off?
That's a great way to start. Great question. And I love the fact that you use rhythm. I look at my life so often in terms of rhythm. I think life in general is a rhythm, but for me, I think it's natural for me. I've been a servant ever since I've been a little girl. My grandmother and my mother used to fuss at me all the time because wherever I went, if I saw a need, I don't care what it was, if it was a little child, I always gravitated towards the little child or the person that looked alone or lonely or didn't
Mm,
have, and I was there to encourage, even with something that I said or something that I did. In elementary school, it was not just sharing toys, but giving toys
wow.
to kids I know that didn't have toys. I would get in lots of trouble for doing it. As I got into high school, I became a listening ear for students in high school. I don't know why. I had plenty issues of my own, but people seemed to come to me, and I found myself gravitating, not just people gravitating towards me, but me being drawn to people who seemed like they were either going through something or in need. It started as a little girl. My grandparents were servants. They
Mm,
raised me.
Mhm.
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
They
mm-hmm.
were they worked in the Jewish synagogue on Friday nights. They were day workers, and they took me with them. And so
Mm.
I learned to be a servant by watching them serve others without complaint,
Mhm.
unselfishly, and I just took on that spirit that they had.
It sounds like so. It sounds like you
Yeah.
have a legacy there. And we also teach about spiritual gifts, and I don't know if I'm hearing like a mercy gift in there with you.
Well,
Do you?
serving,
Definitely, for
Mhm.
mercy,
sure.
serving.
That
Yeah.
Mhm.
is definitely mercy, and I'm definitely a servant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm called to teach and preach, but I am definitely a servant. I get in trouble when I get invited out to preach, especially if after the service there's some kind of reception or dinner or something.
Mm.
It's just first nature for me to go in and want to serve somebody.
And
Got
you're
you.
the speaker, and
Yeah,
you're like, what do I need to do? And
yeah.
that's the kind of thing that will draw people to you. We had that type of experience where the guest speaker of the night was serving us as we walked
Oh
in. We
yeah.
had no idea he was the guest speaker. He was the
Mhm.
keynote speaker. He was at the front door asking us what we needed,
He passed out the cake, I think,
passed
too.
out cake and
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah.
then they say, "Oh yeah, we have our keynote speaker coming up tonight." And we said, "What?" So everything he said, we were like, "Tell me more," because
Mhm.
Yeah.
we had buy-in, and I get that from you. Let me throw a question at you
Mhm.
that since you have the gift of mercy and serving, and it sounds like it's a legacy of it. You saw it, you watched it,
Yes.
and we're going to get into a whole lot of positives about serving. But I want to
Okay.
throw a curveball in here.
Okay.
There's two sides of the coin. There's serving, and everybody's watching you serve,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a cautionary tale for someone with that nature of serving, that if you don't check it, you can be maybe abused as a
Mm-hmm.
servant. And
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
so what's some of the slippery slopes that come along with the heart of serving that we need to be aware of if that's our thing? If we just like that serving person, what should we be, what red flag should we be like aware of as we're flowing in our gift?
Well, let's look at it like this. The heart of a servant is one who's humble, who's not self-seeking,
Mhm.
who's selfless.
Mm-hmm.
They're unbiased. That means there's no, you can't have prejudice if you're a true servant. You can't
Mm.
have prejudice against people. And I'm not just talking about the color of a person's skin. I'm talking about economic and social status,
Sure.
financial status,
Yeah.
education. If you are a servant, you serve who needs to be
Mm.
served, and you go in. These are the things that you look out for. You go in not looking for anything in return.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No accolades, no notoriety, not even looking for somebody to say thank you.
Mm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I learned is to serve people. Don't go in with preconceived notions of what people need.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big one.
Say a little bit more about that.
Well, I found that, let me tell you how I found out. Working in the community years and years and years ago, because I had come through a lifestyle of drugs and alcohol addiction, a 15-year drug and alcohol addiction. When I got clean and sober and went back into the community where I came from, I assumed that everybody else wanted to be free of alcohol and drugs,
Mm.
the way it happened for me, and that's not so.
Mm.
Gotcha.
Okay.
When I started working in the community for the church, I did the same thing. I went in with these preconceived notions because I want to see everybody be okay. I want everybody to know that they are loved, that they are special, that God made them special just like they made me, that we are no different from one person to the next. And I want everybody to do that. I want everybody to live in the fullness and the abundance of this life that God promised us, and do this, and the church was going to do that. And I learned right away, you can't give people what they don't want for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so the lesson that I learned in serving is, first, always ask questions.
Mm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I didn't
First
think
of
about
all,
that.
may I help you?
That's
And
good.
what kind of help do you need?
Mm-hmm.
So that if I can't help you, then I can at least make the attempt to find somebody who can.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
So
That's
a
good.
servant is also resourceful.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm new, starting out serving. I want to get into serving. Could you give me some pointers on how to handle the shock that you, like you said, you came in, you're thinking everybody wants what you've been through. They want the greatness, the fullness of life. But when it backfires, what are some tips to help me get through that?
Well,
You gave some already, but is there any more?
well, don't take it. It's personal, but don't take it personal.
Mm.
Mhm.
Don't let it knock you down.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it anger you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not about you. It's about who you want to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And so
That's
when
good.
we make it about us, we can get easily offended. We can get easily disappointed. We can throw up our hands and quit because people don't move in the pace that we think they need to move. They don't do the things that we suggest to them, even if we know those things will work.
Mm-hmm.
And you can easily throw up your hands and walk away. Those are lessons
Wow.
that I learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go in with no expectation other than be the best that I can be to them, to the capacity that they either needed. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I learned not to expect anything from people that they aren't willing to give or want to give or even know how to give.
I love that, the no expectations, because
Yeah.
that's the thing that can discourage us.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yes.
go in expecting one thing, or we go in saying, I'm going to help, change your life or whatever it may be. And when those expectations aren't met, it kind of takes us aback. It kind of
Yeah.
knocks us
Knock the wind
down,
out of
knocks
you.
the wind out of you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love what you said, just kind of removing those expectations and just allowing room for whatever growth is going to come
Mm-hmm.
to happen organically,
Yeah.
and not you try to force it. I love that.
Exactly. And the other thing that I learned is when you ask people, how may I serve you?
Mm-hmm.
Or how may I help you? A lot of people are not used to being served, especially in a gracious way. And so a lot of people don't know how to receive. I didn't know, after I'd come out of my addiction and everything, I didn't know how to receive someone else looking after me and wanting to make sure that
Yeah.
I was okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so I learned then that what we must do is not only listen to people, but become great listeners, and also develop relationships with people. People
Mm.
need to know that they can trust you with their life or their
Oh
situations.
wow. Yeah. Wow.
And
How
that
do
takes time.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
how do you start to build that trust, particularly as you may be coming from the outside in? How do you start to build that trust?
Doing exactly what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it is the
Ooh.
first thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so your yes is your yes. Okay. Your
And
no's
yeah.
is your no. Okay. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And when you don't, like I said, and when you don't have the answer or don't know the way or can't provide what they need, that's a point when you can say to them, I can't help you here, but I can connect you with someone else who can.
Mm.
And in doing so,
Mm.
oftentimes what I'll do, I learned this the hard way too. I can take you by the hand only so far, but then the rest of the way you've got to go on your own.
Gotcha.
Got you.
All right.
Give you a practical idea.
Mm-hmm.
If
Wow.
someone is interested in some particular service that I don't know anything about or can't do, I may go online and look up a contact name or a venue or an organization, and I will provide that information. But it's up to the individual to do the research themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because it goes back to, I can't want more for you than you want for yourself,
Wow.
Right.
because I
So
can do all the work
go ahead. I'm sorry.
and it means nothing.
I was going to say, what I think one of the things as a server that maybe a pothole to look out for is enabling people. So meaning you
Yes.
doing
Oh,
everything
yeah.
for them,
Yeah.
and that's what I think I'm hearing you say
Yes,
in that
exactly.
comment. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's a great word, enabler. Don't be an enabler. And yet we've got to be wise enough and discerning enough to know when we can step in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So as you're talking, I'm just like, oh my God, I want to ask this. I want to ask that. I want to ask this. And then I'm seeing something in the comment. So how do I spread this out? So I got okay. All right. I want to do this. One, servers, and I'm gonna come back. Mark, I see you have a question. I'm gonna come over there. Servers, how important is it, or where does anticipating the need of others, so before they know they even need it, is that kind of like a trait that, I don't know, but is that a trait that a server has, like innate ability to anticipate what's around the corner?
Well, I think that is part of it.
Mm.
Wisdom and discernment. But the other thing is, when you're serving, especially when you're serving in the community, the general population, you
Mhm.
got to do research. You know, what are the dynamics of the community or the people or the person? What's the dynamic of the environment? What are the ages of the people? What's the
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's when you do look at the financial, economic, educational status, because then it gives you ammunition to know how to go in and
Mhm.
approach people. I'm not going to walk into a venue of people with college degrees and master's and doctorate degrees in the same context that I would with somebody who maybe has got a high school diploma or less.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not that I look down on them or I look up to the other, but you meet people where they are.
Right.
Yeah. That
Understanding your
yeah.
audience.
Yeah, that's been
Mm-hmm.
consistent throughout the days, the nights, like
The
the
research.
research
Yeah.
and knowing your audience. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about that. Let me take one question. I'm like a serving I'm a Nikki Hogg. I'm trying to take you all to myself and just ask all the questions for me. But I'm gonna go ahead and share you with let's see, let's bring up a question here. Let's see. Mark says, I'm curious about the relationship with service and leadership. Is
Mhm.
having a heart to serve synonymous with a heart to lead? Meaning, are all servants also leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a great question. That's a hard question. I would
Mm-hmm.
not say that all leaders are servants, though I think they should be,
Right, right.
because my concept is I can't lead you where I'm not willing to go
Mm-hmm. That's
or
good.
where I haven't been myself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
while all leaders are not servants, I believe that all servants in some regard are leaders. I
Yes.
do. We lead the way. We open the door. We roll up the window,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
if you will. We present the opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw that come up, I was like, no. They're not. They're not, they're not all servant leaders. Some, and they have different. And then you got to think about what's the leader's motive.
Mm-hmm.
Why they even leading. They have different motives for
Mhm.
wanting to be in a leadership position.
Exactly.
They can abuse their positions, as we see. It is
Mm-hmm.
election season. I'm getting all these cards and
Oh,
envelopes
I
and
know.
all this junk mail from people that, now we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you.
Right.
When the elections
Right,
wasn't up.
right.
Now I'm getting all your information. Okay, here we go. Thanks, Mark, for that question.
Thank
Keep
you,
them
Mark.
coming. Keep them coming. Seeing the servant heart in children.
Mm.
How do you nurture that in a child when you see it, early? You see that they have it, something about them. They just love. They go open the door for people,
Mhm.
and you're like, wow, that was nice. They say after you, and stuff like that. So you can see they got something going on. What kind of advice would you give us for nurturing that when you see that in a young person?
Well, I can tell you this. My grandchildren are from Africa, and when they moved here in the States, the youngest was two. No, the youngest was three, and the middle one was about five. The oldest one was away in school, and they amazed me when I first met them. Like I said, because they were born in Africa, they are servants. They are servants. They're teenagers now.
Mhm.
But they came with servant hearts. It was nothing for my little grandson, 5 years old, to open the door for a woman. They were raised that way by their mother and my son and their grandparents in Africa. And you nurture that. You do nurture that. You encourage them to be servants. You encourage them to be wise about approaching people.
Mhm.
You do let them know that you don't give away your toys and your clothes without first telling mama and daddy about it. But certainly you nurture that. That's
Right.
what the Bible calls for us to be, is servants. And we don't have
Yes.
to wait until we're in older in age to do that. Start from a very
Yeah.
young age. Help them um, um, to know when is a good time, and use the same principles that I do. When you reach out to serve people, make sure it's not because you're looking for something in return.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this. I'm struggling with this. All right. And maybe because there's two different genres. So I like what you said, serving without looking for something in return.
Hmm.
How does that, and maybe this goes into this leadership question as well, or it can be attached to it. Let's talk about the marketplace.
Hmm.
We have had situations where we just served and have been rewarded.
Hmm.
And then there's been situations where we were trying to get rewarded, and it's like the fruit was not as plentiful, if I can say that, as if
Hmm.
when we're just serving. So I'm trying to formulate my question here. um
I'm trying to think of which one you're referring to, but it doesn't
but
matter.
but it's wow, I'm just stuck on that heart to serve without looking, or it's the expectation question, right? You're
Well,
serving without expectation, and
Mhm.
I'm
well,
trying to figure out, how does that play into someone serving in the marketplace, where it is kind of like this exchange thing happening.
well, when you're talking about in the marketplace and you're providing a service that requires
Mm.
a return,
Hmm.
then that's different.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
that's different, especially if you're looking for a monetary gain from
Right.
serving. Then that's different. You
Mm. Mm.
still serve with a heart of compassion and care and honesty and integrity.
Boom.
Therein then lies other components of being a servant.
That's good.
the, the,
That's
the,
good.
when I do conferences, I'm
Hmm.
serving, but I expect there's a fee attached
Right.
to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if there are times when there isn't always a fee, and I don't look for it, I you gauge it based on, again, are you doing it to get paid, or are you doing it because it's in your heart to
Gotcha.
do? Now, give you an example. I I work for Shabbat now at First Baptist Church of Glen Arden.
And where's that located? Just for those listeners who may not know what
That's
that
at
is.
403 Bright Seat Road. We are the 501c3 arm of First Baptist Church of Glen Arden.
And that's in the state of Maryland.
In the
For
state of
those that's
Maryland.
on the West Coast that might be listening. Okay.
The Empowerment Center. We are the arms and legs and eyes of the church, literally on the ground 7 days a week, 365 days a year in the community. Whether we are providing food from our food pantry, clothing, small toiletries and items. We have a clinic there. If someone needs furniture, I'm now doing Bible study in the community. We are providing various kinds of workshops in the community using our ministries from the church. We aren't looking for anything from people in that regard, other than to show the love of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We let the Holy Spirit do the other work.
Gotcha. All right, this is good.
Changing people's hearts.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that to say, but what I've been doing all of my life, I now get paid to do. I expect a paycheck only because I do the work above and beyond
Excellent.
as often as I can that I'm required to do. But I would do it if they didn't give me a dime.
Man, you know what? We need I don't even have anything queued up. I was like, we need I need a whole
It goes to the scripture we always talk about. Your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah,
You've been doing that. You were doing it just because that was in your heart to do.
Yeah.
And now God has given the opportunity for it to also become part of your vocation as well, and to get paid and make a living doing what you already have a heart to do. And that's always nice when the two can match up.
Can match up. Yeah.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, I'm reading a book on something when your passion and your talent meets, like in that intersection is where you are, like where your peace is or something like that. I haven't gotten into it that deep yet, but go ahead.
I have found my sweet spot.
Let's go into that. Yeah.
This is my sweet spot, to know that what I've been doing all of my life, that God, and I had retired. My last job ended in 2016. I'm 70 years old this year, and nobody was hiring me to get a job. And I was so afraid because all of those years that I spent with drugs and alcohol, I didn't prepare for old age. I never thought that I'd get to see 50, much less 70 years old. And so to see that God turned what he's given me, turned what I was doing for free into a way to sustain my life comfortably. It doesn't get any sweeter than that. You know, I'm getting...
That is so awesome. I love it. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, so my heart is content. And so now every day I'm trying to outdo me. You know, not because I want to get a promotion or a higher paycheck, but I'm trying to outdo me because the rewards and the benefits of being a servant, it builds better character. My character is better. My disposition, my outlook on things is better. My patience and tolerance level is better. Again, because I've learned, if I don't expect anything from people that they aren't willing to give, want to give, or know how to give, then I'm not disappointed. I'm not distracted. I don't give up my hands and turn and walk away. I don't say, oh God, what's wrong with me? Because I suffered so long with years of low self-esteem and low self-worth, and serving gives you that. It gives you a sense of self-worth. It gives you a sense of purpose, if you will. It distracts you from your own personal issues. It takes your mind off of you. It doesn't mean that you neglect self. I had to learn that.
That's like kind of a warning thing, right? For servers, the self thing.
Is. Remember, you still got to take care of
Of
you.
you. Yep.
Mm.
That's
You
right.
still, because one of the things that I learned by being a servant and meeting other servants is oftentimes we will use serving to mask our own issues.
Okay.
Isn't this good?
Oh,
This is
absolutely.
so good. So talk about that serving to mask
Mm-hmm.
your issue, so you dive into something to cover it up.
Yeah, and so what you end up doing, you can end up hurting other people.
Okay, go deeper. Go deep.
Mm-hmm.
We
Well,
got to pause at this one. We got
Yeah.
to
well,
park here.
I mean, it's easy. If I go in with unresolved issues of low self-esteem and low self-worth, then serving means I may be looking for them to fulfill that need, that when I give, I'm expecting you to respond a certain way or say a certain thing, and then when you don't, it could mean, again, I lash out or I walk away, or my perspective of serving changes because I go in with it in a selfish way. If I'm making sense,
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know how to say that. I don't know how to say that better. If I'm hurting, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to hurt you when you disappoint me or let me down, or you say something that doesn't sit right with me. I'm not going to 9 times out of 10. I'm not going to respond to it in the
Right.
right way, whether I respond to it verbally, whether I walk away, or even worse. And so what I learned is um, I had to get my own issues resolved. And so my approach to serving is to help people to first listen. Whatever situation we find ourselves in, good, bad, or otherwise, there is an underlying situation that got us to that point, good, bad, or otherwise.
Right. Right.
And we cannot conquer what we don't confront.
That's good. That's
And
right.
and so my approach is helping people to see the big picture of their life,
Mm-hmm.
not just look at you, as being a drug addict. You're a drug addict. There's an underlying reason why people get high. There's an underlying reason why people get drunk. There's an underlying reason why people just don't want to go to work. I really believe that there are
Mm-hmm.
unresolved issues that keep us from doing that. My issue started when I was a little girl. Something happened when I was a little girl. My mom sent me to live with my grandparents while she stayed with my stepdad and my baby sister by my stepdad. My dad stopped coming around at the same time. My real father stopped coming around at the same time. My mom sent me to live with my grandparents. So I developed an issue of wanting to be chosen first because I
Mm-hmm.
had issues of neglect and abandonment. Well, I couldn't take those issues out into the community because the first time somebody rejected me, and it happened a lot when I was growing up, because I was serving to get a need fulfilled that I hadn't addressed.
Got you. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to address a feeling, and it ain't about a feeling. It's about addressing an issue.
Right.
And once I realized that my issue was wanting to be chosen first, that's what I had to deal with. And
Mm.
and as God began to deal with me in that, and I began to deal with that and take a look at it for what it really was,
Mm-hmm.
get the kind of help that I needed, you know,
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
then
Man.
I was able to, the transformation took place. The Bible says that we are transformed by the renewing of our
Of our
minds,
minds. Yep.
not by the renewing of our resources, not by getting a new car,
Mm-hmm.
not by getting a new job, not by getting into another relationship, because you can get a new car, a new job, a new relationship. And if your issue isn't resolved, you'll take that same mess from the crack house into the church house. You'll take the same mess from the
Yes.
projects to the mansion,
Mm-hmm.
because it all starts with the issue. And I think if I could round it all out, I try to look at that now when I serve people, that if there's an issue that they need to address, to help them to understand, once they acknowledge, I really don't want to be here. This is
Mm-hmm.
really not the life I want. Or yes, I do need help in this area. Or I don't know why I keep doing this. And I'm just talking about basically the kinds of populations that I'm dealing with
Sure.
right now. I'm not talking about going into a church and helping to set tables and anything like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Right.
the servant the servant hood that I'm dealing with right now, I try to help people to take a look at the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go here because you now know, and I think we're getting ready going in there. First of all, you're in your flow right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
When you said look it, I said she gone.
I was like, I don't want to interrupt because a wealth of knowledge is springing forth.
When she said that was it for me, she said, "Well, look it," and she said, let me just break it out." I said, "She gone. She comfortable now. She's on her way." Okay, so you know what your what, so serving is your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a guy come on earlier that talked about niching down in a sense. He was talking about from a business perspective, but I want to talk to you from a serving perspective. You know your what, which is serving.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your who. Who are the people you're actually serving? Because you niched it down in a sense. Tell us about that and how did you discover that your who that you wanted to serve?
Well, it's like I said, it started as a little girl. Me growing up on a farm with my grandparents. We had 12 acres of farmland, and we weren't rich or well-to-do by any means. Everything we ate, we raised on the farm. We had everything that you can plant, everything on 4 legs and 2 legs walking, from vegetables to meats, to fruit orchards, chickens for eggs, and the people that lived around us, including the family, my uncle and aunt and their kids that lived on the property with us, didn't have what we had.
Okay.
Okay.
And my grandmother and grandfather made sure that everybody that we could in our radius where we lived, not outside of our 12 acres, the neighbors to the left, to the right of us, and our family living on the property with us, when we had, they had.
Mm-hmm.
So it started for me, making sure that, like I said, the kids, my neighbors, if I got toys for Christmas, they didn't get toys for Christmas. I'd sneak out toys and make sure that they got toys, whether they were old toys or new toys. My
Mm-hmm.
cousins and them, they were a little younger than me. My clothes, it was nothing for me to take my clothes and give them to them. They weren't hand-me-downs. I gave them what I wore, what I enjoyed wearing. Like I said, I used to get in trouble for it. But as time went on, as I got into high school, I still gravitated towards people that seemed to be without stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that seemed to be, if I saw a sad face, I was going to walk up to you and say, how you doing? You okay? I still do it now in church. That my thing is, hey, baby, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You all right? Everything okay? And so it gravitated from that as I came out of the drug and alcohol life, and during those years of my substance abuse and addictions, I was also a singer in clubs. And so when I came out of that environment, while I didn't go back into that environment to sing in the clubs anymore or to get high, I did still, some of those people were still my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned as I was getting freed up from that lifestyle, I wanted to impart that to them.
Okay. Wow.
And so I started working with drug addicts and alcoholics. I ended up getting a job working with a very prominent program in Washington, D.C., the Community Action Group out of St. Cyprian's Catholic Church in D.C. I started to work for them, which made me an official now serving with substance abusers. Out of that, I started working with, I got a job offer to work for the Concerned Black Men of America for a mentoring program. I started a mentoring program where we recruited African American men to be mentors for African American boys in middle school. Had never done anything like that in my life, but I applied the same principles that I've been talking about tonight to that job. I saw the need of these young African American boys in middle school of having a male mentor in their life. I did the research. I spent 3 months doing research on what it was to be a mentor, on what's this statistics said about African American boys who didn't have a prominent male figure in their life. Then I did research on mentoring by African American men to African American boys. Our program ended up having 12 sites around the country, successful sites
That's
around
wonderful.
the country from 2008 to 2017 when that organization finally closed down. But from that, I was still serving in the community. I started working with homeless women, women who had been battered and abused, because 8 years of my life I spent with a man who physically abused me.
Okay.
So I went, and now I'm the people in the community that I work with. They are a conglomerate of all of that and more.
Wow.
So as you were telling your story, I'm like, no experience was wasted. So all the things that you went through, it seems like you were almost able to touch pretty much every one of those populations as it kind of converged with some things that happened in your own life.
Yes, exactly. And so um, um, Romans 8:28, that's my mantra. I say it like this: there's absolutely nothing in our life that goes to waste with God. Our experiences, our falls, our failures, our successes all work together to help build us to do the work that I believe God has called us to do.
That is so encouraging. That is so, you are teaching tonight.
You are.
That
You
is
are.
so, I'm just listening to all the breadcrumbs of your life that you can look back and say, oh, all this meant something.
Yeah.
You know, if I collect them all up, they all meant something to me. And
Yeah.
it sounded like you was getting ready to say something else.
Oh, well, because so often, we can get discouraged by the bad things in our lives and or off track or what have you. And I think that's a good actually opportunity for you to bring up your book, because you talk about the fact that we can have breakthrough and we have a role to play in our breakthrough. And I would just like for you to just share a little bit about the book and just tell us, maybe a nugget or two of how we can not get discouraged so much by the bad things that have occurred and not let those things hold us back. How
Okay.
can we can stay focused to keep moving forward? It has nothing necessarily to do with heart to serve, but I think it's apropos for what you just were describing.
Well, it is, because part of serving for me was writing that book. And that book, um, um, when I used to ride, when I was living in Washington D.C., and I used to ride down the streets after I'd gotten clean and sober and kind of started getting back into the church and operating out of my ministry to sing and to preach and to teach. I wanted, my heart was still to want to see people live this life that God promised us, that I was starting to understand and experience. And so I would be riding down the street and I would cry when I would see women on the side of the street, and I knew that they were selling their bodies or pushing carts, or I would run into guys that I know that were selling drugs on the street, and because I see everybody has the potential for greatness. I believe that. And so I would always cry, God, how can I help them? How can I help them? And I would always hear God say, just tell your story. Just tell your story. And so finally, I started doing it like I'm doing with you now. People started inviting me out to come out to speak and tell my story. And finally, I said, God, how I want people all around the world to know this. And that's when God put it on my heart to write the book. The book is based on my life, but I use the story from the Bible, Mark 5:25-34, of the woman with the issue of blood, how that one issue negatively impacted every area of her life. She didn't just have an issue of blood for 12 years. The Bible said 12 years. But the Bible said in 12 years, she spent all that she had trying to get better. So it affected her physically. It affected her financially. Back in those Bible days, when you had an issue of blood or any body issue, you was considered unclean. Not only did people call you unclean, you had to call yourself unclean when you went into an environment where
Denounce it. Yeah.
So that issue not only affected her physically, financially, but it affected her emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She couldn't go into church because she was unclean. She lost her identity. The Bible didn't even give her a name. It called her a woman with the issue of blood. The people in her day called her unclean. She began to see herself the way others saw her, as unclean. emotionally, relationally. Unclean meant she couldn't hug anybody. If she had kids, she couldn't touch her kids. She couldn't have relationships with her husband. Wherever she sat, if somebody sat behind her, they became unclean. Whatever she touched, if people touched it, they became unclean. It isolated her from the norm. But she heard something about Jesus. And whatever it was that she heard, that's what she got a grip on, that word. The Bible says she kept saying to herself over and over and over and over and over again. She had to go through a crowd to get to Jesus. But the whole time she was going through that crowd, people calling her unclean, people saying, you don't belong here. You don't fit in with us. You don't look the part. You don't sound the part. You don't smell the part. She kept focused on the word that she heard about Jesus. So she had hope 12 years because she didn't give up trying to get healed. But when she heard about Jesus, she had faith. It went from thinking that she could get healed to believing that she would get healed. And so that's what that book is about, understanding that you can't conquer what you won't confront. She never lost sight of the fact of what her issue was.
Gotcha.
Okay, so tell us how we can get that book. Where can we find this book?
Well, you can go to FBC Glenarden, FBCG.org, FBC Glenarden. Go to the Glenarden Media Center or bookstore. You can go to Amazon. Okay. And if you type the book's name, your breakthrough is up to you. It'll come up with other venues that you can get it from. I think Barnes and Nobles did have it at one time. There's several other places that you can get it online.
Wonderful.
Oh, you are wearing me out. This is so good. This is so good. You're teaching. I'm hearing about just everything is used. Everything, all your experiences are used. You talked about renewing and starting with your mind. Your mind. Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes we think we know stuff and then somebody, say it at the right time, in the right moment, and you're like, oh, yes, I needed to hear that. And what you're talking about, I needed to hear this. This is really good. This is really good.
It's timely. It's timely.
Yeah. Timeless.
Yeah.
Timely and timeless, if that's the thing. Let's take a moment and go over to the comments and see what we have over here. Oh, man, just a lot of stuff.
Really? I can't see it.
I know. We should have made you a co-host so you can see it. But I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring some stuff up to you. Okay. You know what I'm gonna do for you? I'm gonna bring everything that's over here up so you can see it. You deserve to see everything. So I'm gonna bring it up on the screen so you can see it. All right. So let me first. I have a question here.
Okay.
Let's bring it up. Can you see the question when it comes up?
Yes.
All right. So help me with this, Karen.
The secular world views servants as irrelevant, but our sacred community equates service with greatness. In your experience in ministry, is there a learning curve to understanding this distinction?
Okay, let me see. The secular world views servants as irrelevant. But our sacred community equates service with greatness. In your experience in ministry, is there a learning curve to understanding this distinction?
So let me help out a little bit because servant leadership is fairly new, a new concept.
Term.
Yeah, it's a new term. In the secular world, servant was a sign or can be a sign of weakness, especially in the role of a leader. And so that's probably where the if you can be a servant if you want to. We don't need you on our team. We need leaders, and leaders had a different the mindset of a leader was totally different. And then but Christ, he was saying, hey, don't be like the Gentiles who lord over the people. And so that's that servant leadership mantra is a concept from Christ.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. We our perfect example of what servant leadership is Paul. Other than Christ, is Paul, is Timothy, Barnabas. Barnabas in Acts, they talked about Barnabas being a servant to Paul, looking for nothing in return. The world is selfish. I'm not saying everybody, but by and large, is selfish. It's what can I do for me.
Right.
How can I build me up? How can I look better? How can I come across as the it?
Who can I step over as a
Right,
leader? Who can I step over? You know?
right,
Yeah.
right. And leaders in the secular world, for the most part, not do as I do, but do as I say do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Jesus was not only not do as I say, but watch me do it.
Right.
Ooh. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
That's
difference, right?
that's a servant leader, that
Mm-hmm.
you don't just listen to what I do what I say do. Like my grandma, my mother used to tell me, you just don't do what I do. You do what I say do.
We had the same
Right.
mom, right?
Yeah, yeah, we did. But Jesus, I can't remember where it is in scripture in Matthew, where Jesus says, when you visit the sick, when you take care of the widows and the homeless and those who are in need, when you visit those in prison, as you've done to these, you've done also unto me. Because that's who Jesus was, and that's what he did. He who was the King of Kings and Lord of Lords humbled himself. They didn't even know he was the King of
Yeah.
Kings and Lord of Lords when he served, when he was out there. That servant leadership, that you don't go having to show look a certain way. Look at Mother Teresa, servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah.
wasn't looking for accolades. She wasn't looking for money.
Right.
She was just looking to help people to live their best lives. She didn't care whether you were a Christian, whether you was Jew, Gentile, Islam. She didn't care what. And I'm the same way, and Jesus the same way. It took me a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in business, when you serve, I think we for so long we didn't want to be noticed as servants, as leaders, because it came across as a sign of weakness, and people would take advantage of that.
Yeah. If I may, I think that it is starting to shift in
I
certain
believe I
areas.
do
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah.
do too, because when people know that you're willing to do what you ask them
Right.
to do, when people know that you're willing to get your hands dirty along with them, that's team, man. Listen, that's unity. When
Right.
your team knows that you're willing to do with them what you want them to do, and still maintain a level of authority,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
man.
Yeah.
Unthreatened authority, right? You're not threatened
Right.
because you're serving.
Right.
Unthreatened and unthreatening,
Right. Right.
Right.
and unthreatening authority. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think, those who are not threatened it's because they've dealt with those issues. 'Cause I think the ones who haven't, like you were talking about masking the issues, those are the ones who either they hurt somebody, or they bring, they got to be in control. So, because they think you might try and take what they have.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm
Exactly.
hearing is one of my lanes is that you can't be an effective servant leader if you haven't first learned how to self-lead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just being self-secure of yourself, then you can be a better servant leader, because you're sure of yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
have confidence in yourself, and you co-laboring with God. You're
Right.
not independent, interdependent with God, and you're moving so that doesn't bother you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love when you know what you've been called to do, and then there's no need to feel threatened,
Right.
because nobody can do what you do the way you do it. And here's the thing, when we work together, it's just so much better. We have all the different pieces, especially when we think about the body of Christ, because we are a body and there are different parts to the body. And when we work together, there's unity,
Yeah.
and we can accomplish so much more.
Yeah.
All right. Whew. Miss Nikki. All right, let's do. I'm gonna go through some of these things. Miss Nikki, we've been talking for an hour.
Yeah, it's been an
Okay.
hour. It's
I'm
been
good.
a great conversation.
I'm good if y'all good. I'm hanging in there till you say good night.
That is so good. Well, we are gonna close down, but
Okay.
I want to also share some of these comments with you, and man, they just rolled in. Okay.
And
Yes.
as he's getting ready to share these comments, Miss Nikki, think about, because what the show is talking about, taking the next step. And this is the Focus Marathon. So just think about what next steps you would like to leave with our audience as far as serving, having a heart to serve, the types of things they might focus on. Think about that as he's bringing up some of the comments.
So we're going to close on here's your next steps. But let's look at these. So, okay. Ooh, they still coming in. I should probably just wait. I'm going to go to the top and work down. So that way, if something comes in, we'll catch it. So let me just go all the way to the back. Somebody was talking about.
They were saying, "Hey."
Yeah, they were talking to each other. I love this group. They talk to each other. Welcome to the conversation. Okay, let's start here. Welcome to the conversation, Reverend Nikki. They just Mark wanted to invite you here, and then you did see the question that Mark put up. Mm-hmm. Brittany said that she agrees with you. That's definitely the approach I take with my son. And this was the nurturing, like when you see the gift in that person. So, I like this. I don't even remember what, but that's my happy space. But I just love seeing it. That's my happy space. Then she followed it up with saying, "You are beautiful, Miss Nikki."
Oh, bless you.
See, you're gonna want to come back just to hang out with the people, right? So, Brittany said, "Oh, this is so good, so good." Mm-hmm. Yep. It is good. And then you saw the question from Mark. He was saying something to you. And he said, yeah, whenever you speak, he's always amazed by your authenticity.
Wow. Thanks,
always
Mark.
amazed. See, Mark is the sponsor of our show.
He is.
Go Mark.
Here it is. The symbol of servant leadership is not a king or queen's crown, but a shepherd's staff.
That's good. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then we have VJazz, my brother Vaughn.
The servant leader is essential since, at least in ministry, there is such a need for the practical example of servanthood as well as leadership.
Yeah.
Very good.
Good stuff. Good. Man, that's good. I just want you to know that people are loving you here tonight, and they're showing their love by actually commenting on the things that you're saying. And so with that being said, come on now. What's our last... what it's called, the next step? What would you say our next step is?
Well, if I'm hearing you right, next steps for people who are listening. First of all, if I believe that we're all called to be servant leaders. We're all called to be leaders in some regard. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a leader in your home, on your job, in your community, we're all called to be leaders. And to me, that just means to excel in the areas that you are gifted and talented, and share those in a way so that it encourages and edifies and builds up others. Mm-hmm. I think that you wanna search yourself if you're still not sure what it is that you bring to the table in life, period. Mm-hmm. Are you, even if it's cooking, if you make cakes, if you, would like to coach little kids, whatever it is, listen, being a leader doesn't mean sitting behind a desk, doesn't mean being a pastor, a preacher, or somebody sitting in a lead position somewhere. It means exercising those gifts and talents that you have so that it benefits others. That's the bottom line. Find out, spend some time looking over your life. What are the things that irritate you the most about life?
Ooh, that's a different approach. That's a good approach.
And that you know something that could help that situation out. It may not be on a worldwide scale. What I do is not on a worldwide scale. I used to always think that I'd want to be, but listen, I'm perfectly happy in the community where I'm serving right now, and open for invitations, but perfectly happy. So know where you're called to serve.
Yes. Love it.
Well, Thank you again for coming out on behalf of our audience, people that are
Yes.
watching today, people are watching. If this is your first time watching and it's recorded, thank you for coming out. If you want to continue to get rich content just like this, this series will be ending on Friday. However, more content will be coming your way on various subjects such as purpose, servant leadership, identity. So those contents and Miss Nikki, be ready to come back.
Oh, I would love to.
Oh, good.
Yay.
So those things are going to come up. They won't be 26 nights in a row.
No. This is probably a first and the last. I believe. You know, the Lord has His way, but I believe this is the first and last.
I think this is the first and the last. And so go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't been here. Don't forget also, if you've been here before, share this link. Share this video with Miss Nikki talking about the heart to serve and how it can really change the world.
Absolutely.
If we all have a heart to serve and just do one act of service, man, what a world this would be.
Don't forget to go out and get that book. I'm telling you, it will enrich your spirit right now. Amazon has it on sale. It's usually $15.99. Amazon has it on sale. Go get it, buy some for several people. And that's what I do. I just buy a bunch and just give them away.
And at what price point did you say it was on sale for right now?
I'm not sure, but I know it's under $15.99 now.
Okay.
Oh, so get 10.
Yeah.
Get 10. And so don't think, what am I going to do? Think of 10 gifts that you would buy. So go buy 10 gifts, wrap them, give them to people as a gift and say, hey, this is just for you.
Yeah.
And then see the beauty
of
what happens, after that. So
absolutely.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Wow. You're just such a superstar.
We love you, Reverend Nikki. We
Such
love
a
you. We love you.
too.
This was such a pleasant conversation, but powerful conversation at the same time.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us tonight, today, whatever time you're watching.
Yeah, we don't know, right?
But thank you so much for sharing.
And we want to be the first to invite you to come back Friday. I'm going to send a link out. If you can come back out, hang out for an hour, get a couple of verbal drinks.
That's good.
Meet some of the other speakers. And you, the audience, when you come out Friday, we're going to have a little party, hang out, and just chat it up a little bit about maybe we'll talk about purpose. Maybe we'll talk about finishing strong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about finishing strong. So God willing, we'll be here Friday to finish strong.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, Miss Nikki, don't go nowhere. But for the rest of y'all, good night. Take care. We'll see you real soon. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. I need to stop saying that before I get sued. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that. So, hey, see y'all tomorrow. Good night. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Good night.